Guys, imagine if you made a dope product or a dope service, but you couldn't share it with anyone because you kind of made it for like a niche situation, and maybe your job is like taking over your life, or maybe you're like still in school or something, right? And, you know, have you ever considered open sourcing it? Because, like, guys, I think open sourcing is actually pretty OP, okay? But you don't want to do it too early because that's kind of stupid, okay? Say, okay, look, you could have the most brilliant idea ever, and maybe that's not something you really want to open source, right? That doesn't apply to you guys. You should be getting that VC funding, right? But there's certain niche products where you really know that, like, okay, like, I kind of did a hack job here, okay? I kind of like put some off the shelf stuff together, okay? Nothing super proprietary in the hardware side of things. Let's just talk about a really niche example, right? Maybe some of these components that you have in your project are not even off the shelf. Maybe they are scrap components, right? Maybe you have to do something wacko, like go to a car junkyard and get a car part, okay, for your product, and like maybe because the alternative is like a $3,000 sensor, right? The idea is good, but, like, obviously that sensor exists already. Your implementation might be different, like as a whole, but like maybe it's not like super special, okay? Maybe it's just too niche to attract venture capital, right? But the thing is that why put this project why just sit on it, right? Like why go to the grave like gatekeeping this stuff that you could just open source, okay? And now imagine you're struggling to like find a job or something and you open source this thing. Dude, people can literally just find you from that and hire you, okay? Um and the thing is like you can turn an open source into a profitable business too. A lot of people are doing that. Like, and maybe it's not the most viable option, but maybe you've tried everything. And what if you just go the open source route and that's when your project blows up, right? Like, all it needed was to be open source for it to go to the next level. Get those contributors, get that clout, right? And get those people on board, those crucial people, and maybe even get that user base. Generate that YouTube hype. Generate the DIYer scene, right? Like the hype in that and the forums and stuff like that and Reddit, Maybe that's the route that you have to take, because your software, if say you open sourced the hardware and the schematics, and people can like 3D print it and stuff like that, and everyone's super happy with that, but your software is like proprietary, right? Say you didn't open source the software, you're kind of just saying like, here, you can build the hardware, but if you want to make your own software, maybe here's some dev kit, okay? You can play with that. But if you want the real shit, the tough stuff, you go over here to our SaaS model and you plug into that, Kind of like what Streamlabs did with OBS, except I'm advocating for OBS to be doing the Streamlabsing, okay? Because what I think Streamlabs did, I don't think it's super cool that they kind of took like OBS and they paywalled some like new features and stuff. But it's just part of the game, like no one has to like it. It is what it is. You're allowed to do that. and that's what they did. And there's people paying for their service, so they're doing well. Okay, Streamlabs is doing well, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm out of date, but I remember I used to use Streamlabs back in the day. But guys, if you make your own open source and then SaaS it on top of that, you're not forcing anyone to use the SaaS, and you're also not forcing anyone to not buy your hardware either. Your hardware, you can have like the Uber XL version of like whatever you're open source. You can open source the generic version. And the uber awesome version, well, you can buy that, And okay, you can have the generic dev kit, but you want the super awesome pre-built API, you like the concept, you want this for your business, boom. Guys, open source has some weight to it. Like, you can actually explode off of that and get a lot of forward momentum. Like, I know it's not the most attractive thing to a lot of people because, this whole VC funding thing, like, I'm going to get VC funded. Like, okay, but what if you do everything yourself and you do it organically, right? And what if you have a cult following that will never leave you, right? Why don't you just focus on what you can do without having to pay someone dividends in the future, right? And and that's assuming that you do have something that you can SaaS, right? Maybe you just want to use open source to get a job, right? Or you want to just find some talent that are interested into something similar to you, right? So yeah, guys, like make sure you consider it, okay? Don't just be completely walled off to the idea of open source, because there's a lot that can come from it, okay? And I don't speak from a lot of experience, okay? But I have open sourced a few things, and I can see the potential, okay? You don't have to do something to see the potential of it. And I do have plans of open sourcing something that I have, because I know that with my software that I developed for 6 months, that I could totally get something back from it, at the same time do something good for the community, and even for like education, right? For college students, like just having this project for them to be able to do. Not only, I mean, yeah, look, you have to think for yourself always, but yes, it would give me clout. And like, this is institutional clout. It's a different thing when the institutions respect you, right? So it's like, it's a totally viable option, okay? And like, you would be a fool to not think that way. I mean, come on, guys, it's 2026. You have to take every advantage you can get. And like, if you want to just do the dice roll and go for VC funding, go for it, right? Whatever. You might have a great idea, do it, okay? Y Combinator, that might be your shit right there, right? But if you've tried everything and nothing's really working, and or it's a project that you don't think is super important, right? But you kind of don't want to give it out for free for whatever reason, right? Maybe work on like a light version that you can open source, okay? And try to make it into something, because if you have something that you've spent so much time on, like a personal project, and you kind of just like abandoned it without giving it the chance of like, maybe you don't think it's good enough to be an open source. Maybe you're embarrassed, right? But why not just try? Like you're not gonna. You can always take down the repo. Like you don't have to have that thing up. So all I'm saying is I'm not super into the whole tech sphere, because I just couldn't stand being in the tech sphere on YouTube, is what I mean. Like the niche, right? Like those content creators are so freaking full of themselves. It's actually insane. And like there are a few people that I can kind of listen to and be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But the open source thing, like seriously, like you're helping people and you can use that to help yourself. Like, why not try it, guys? Why not give it a shot, okay? And you know, I say this as someone who hasn't really given it a shot, but I've been thinking about it, and I think I definitely will be open sourcing like a light version of something I've been working on. And you know, I'm really am curious of where it's going to take me, and I am curious about what you guys think about it. So yeah, peace. Leave a comment below if you're from Ohio, and yeah, see you in the next video.